Hey everyone, I'm finally back at the easel after a couple of months, and I apologize that I have not been putting out as many videos as I wanted to with regard to the painted oracles. So I'm just now getting ready to paint, and anybody who would like to see the way I make my palette, this is the video for that. Alright, welcome back and thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to mix my palette so you can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to put the colors on, and I'll show you the paint that I'm using. This one is Quinacridone Violet. It is an M-gram brand, and I really love this color so much, and I love this paint. It is very buttery, very buttery. So I put a little bit of that there, and I put a little bit of it here, and I also put a little bit of it over here. Next color is Indian Yellow. Now this area right here I reserve for my transparent only, where I'm not going to be mixing any white in these colors. And the great thing about these is they're already transparent. And this one is Indian Yellow. And I only really use it in my transparent group. And the brand there is Winsor Newton, excuse me. The next color I use in my transparent group is Manganese Blue. And yeah, there's not very much left in these tubes, but I really like to use them to the bitter end. And that is also M-gram, but it's all smooshed up, so you're not going to be able to see it. I happen to use a lot of this color, so it's a very useful color. It looks a lot like cerulean, but it's called Manganese Blue. And if you'd like a list of the paint colors that I use, I will put them at the bottom of this video in the comments. I mean, not the comments, in the information box. Okay, so I got my Manganese Blue, and now I'm gonna do what my teacher Dorene Terryberry is where I learned this palette from. So if you are wanting to do it yourself, this is a palette where it's mostly for indirect style painting. By the way, this is phthalo green, and you're seeing why I put my gloves on. Phthalo green is fine in any brand that you choose. So the next tube I'm gonna open is titanium white, and I'm not really thrilled with Winton brand, but I think that a friend of mine gave me this tube or something, and it's good paint. I mean, but it's really stiff. The nice thing about stiff paint, though, there is a little bit of something nice about that, is you can get some great impasto textures, and but that's not what I'm looking for. Oh, I needed to put some more phthalo green. I don't really need a whole lot of greens in this, but this is how I make my greens for like landscape green. And you know, everybody's got their own philosophy. I mix my entire palette. I don't want to have to mess around with mixing paint when I'm painting. So that's why I go ahead and do this all at once. And I also I also learned that from Dorene Terryberry, that it's, you know, it's a right brain versus left brain activity. Mixing paint versus painting a picture. This is raw umber, and I am going to be using a bit of this for the rocks that I'm going to be painting. The next color up is going to be ochre, yellow ochre. This is an invaluable color. And by the way, the raw umber was, let's see, where was it? It was a Winton tube. I don't love Winton, like I said before, but a friend gave me them, so I'm not wasting any paint. It's just waste not, want not. Waste not, want not. Next up is cadmium yellow. And that's gonna go here. So as you see, we've got a chain of yellows. We've got umber is considered to be in the yellow family. Ochre too, then we have this, and I'm gonna gradiate them. So, or graduate them. Like a gradient when I finally put everything in. When I start to mix, you'll see what I'm doing. And it'll be really exciting, you'll love it. The next color out is cadmium red. So I'm just putting a little bit. And that's Winton as well. And the next one I'm going to put out is cadmium orange. And that goes there. And I really don't have a whole lot of reds to do today. But like I said, I always like to have my palette completely done. And this is cadmium, no, this is quinacridone, excuse me, quinacridone red. And you know, it's a transparent color, and sometimes I use it over here, especially if I want really pretty oranges. So maybe I'll take a little bit of this and put it over there, because it does make a really nice orange. Look how pretty that is. And I want some orange here in this painting. So as you can see, I'm already starting to mix a little bit. And that one, that brand was GAMBLIN, which is a nice inexpensive color. It's not that expensive compared to other brands. And it's a decent paint. So anyway, I take my Indian yellow and I basically make it hold hands with the blue, and I mix it in the middle. So we get the full rainbow here. From blues to yellow. Blue, green to yellow. Next up, I'm gonna mix the quinacridone violet with the blue. And I really do need some great lavenders and purples in this paintings that I'm gonna work on in a minute. So I'm gonna make myself a lot of this pretty purple that I'm going to be indulging in soon. So here I'm going to just go ahead and put it together with that quinacridone red so that we get the nice gradation from purple all the way to yellow. And the fun thing is that, yeah, you can take this and you can mix it together with some of this yellow, and you can get an even richer orangish red. And then if I need black, I will often bring the colors into the middle, and it makes a nice dark brown black color. Bringing all of them into the middle. And it does depend on how much blue I put in. It's more of a green black. Here we're going to have more of a purple black, which is kind of what I wanted. So this is a tricky one, and maybe Dorene students will like to see this made. I got some contamination in here, so I'm scraping that away. And there's that phthalo green again, that's so dangerous. But anyway, we're going to chain them together here with the purple and the green, phthalo green, quinacridone violet, and they make a really nice super dark blue or super dark purple, which is really great. And you can use it for black if you need it. And so I'm going to just kind of bounce my palette knife down here so I can get a little bit less paint on it when I get closer to the white. And you're going to see in a second how magical this is. So I'm going to have a little bit more of the pure phthalo green over here, because phthalo green actually makes a really fantastic bright white when you just put a tiny little bit of it in there. So watch this. So all these are going to get mixed up with a little bit of white. And you know, these are pigment colors that go through all the different paints. So if you're using acrylic, you can still find these colors in acrylic paints. And if you're using watercolor paints, you can find these colors in watercolor paints. So you can use the principles I'm using here. Mix your watercolors or your acrylics. Oh, excuse me. So here we have in the middle between all these, the green and the violet, is we have a nice man-made blue, which what Dorene Terryberry. Now, this is the man-made blue chain by Dorene. I get a nice gradation from green to purple. Anyway, this is the man-made blue chain, and it's a really fun mix. It's hard for people to get used to how to do this though. We need more of the white. So I'm just making some room here. I should have given myself a little more room, but it's okay. We also do really want to have some of this pure violet as well on the other side, like we do have for this phthalo green. Phthalo green comes from malachite, by the way. I don't know what quinacridone means. I have to look it up. I have a cool book that talks about pigments, and I'll have to look that up. So here's some of the pure quinacridone. Let's get it mixed up, and it's a really strong color. You can see already its tinting strength is very, very high. And that's another thing I like about the Graham brand, is that their tinting strength is really good. Okay, we're going to be using a lot of purple in this painting, so that's why I want to have so much of the purple mix here. And I do think I need to have a little bit more of the dark up in the top and up here. It's like magic. And I'm cleaning my palette knife a lot because there's so much paint on it that it mixes where I don't want it to mix. It's got too much purple in it. I didn't clean my knife off good enough. So we want some also that's almost white. Trying not to waste. Let's get some clean white from over here, and we'll put it into this phthalo and get a lot more of that bright white. See how pretty that is? Now, on another note, to get some more of their bright whites, you can use the pink, which is from the Quinacridone red, and it's a very strong tint as well, so I really don't need much. But do you see how pretty that is? It's like, it's a beautiful pastel pink, and it's just a really nice strong tinting color. But when I paint white, I almost never paint pure white because that's pretty boring, you know? And I almost never put white anywhere except for the most highest light is in the picture. So I often only need a tiny bit of the white. So I'm going to make a little bit of that, a yellow white, because I alternate between colors when I'm making highlights. And then I want a little bit of that green up here mixed into the mix of white. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making these greens. And first I'm going to start with the yellow and the ochre and make them hold hands in between so we can get a gradation. Cadmium yellow and ochre. And you never want to use this color pure on a landscape. It's just ridiculously fake looking. So anyway, we're going to go mix that mixture that I just made into that green. And we're going to get a nice, bright, kind of like a Crayola crayon green. We want some of that yellow over here too, that pure yellow to be in it too, because it is, every now and then we get that bright green. Although I'm not really doing much with the landscape right now. And then I'm going to put these two together in a chain. The green chain, the red chain, the man-made blue chain, the transparent chain, and the pink. It gets to be all by itself. Isn't that nice? Anyway, we're going to go ahead and grab some of this green again. So ochre and this phthalo green makes a real nice, kind of like a perfect, lush, summery green. And when you're painting landscapes, you want to make sure that you're using multiple different greens. Because as you know out there, none of the greens are exactly where they come out of the box or the tube. Anyway, this is the ochre. I mean, sorry, not ochre. Umber, red up, raw umber. Why did I want to say red umber? That's funny. Okay, so you see you got the really dark greens, the really dark brown from the umber mixed with the ochre all the way down. And you can, as you may have guessed already, we are going to go do the same thing with the orange, the cadmium orange. You only need a little. Although it's weird because cadmium is not really or cadmium orange is not a really strong tint, no matter what brand you use. So buy the most expensive brand you can afford on cadmium. Cadmium is very, very expensive paint. And we're just doing a real quick chain on that because we're not going to be needing that much. And I like to mix this purple into the red. It makes a really nice dark red. You can even get away with, this Quinacridone violet mixed with a cadmium red light or a cadmium orange. Makes a really nice dark red. Anyway. We are almost ready to start painting. Now that the palette is ready, I'm going to put some liquid. I like using liquid. It's optional. Instead of liquid, you can use any painting medium you like, or even painting like oil. If you're going to use the oil method, you need to think about fat over lean, which means the oilier the paint, the less thinned out it is with terps or medium. The oilier the paint, the lower or the higher up in levels. So you start with less oily paint on the bottom surface, and then you start with more oily paint on the top. So this is liquid. If you're going to use liquid, you need to use the solvent that is recommended to clean liquid, which I believe is mineral spirits. But don't quote me on that. Anyway, this is liquid original. Because your brushes will not become clean. I mean, it just stays in there. So if you're just using regular odorless turpentine, that is not going to clean the liquid out of your brushes. Okay, so the paint palette's ready to go. We can start painting whatever we want with all of these colors. Seriously, all these colors. Thanks for watching.